All right. Yeah, this is your hero mode game.
Yep,
So, yeah,
which I won.
nice. Yeah, so for those listening and wondering what is on the board right here, this is a special side event in BenKyo League. So, BenKyo League, of course, you can check it out, benkyoleague.com, or read up on it in the Patreon, which is where you sign up for it, patreon.com/BenKyo Baduk. And one more thing, I recommend joining our Discord either way, discord.gg/BenKyo So this is a special event where the two players actually start off with this interesting kind of shape on the board and just play from here. And it is set up so that AI has it equal for both. And in this case, the theme, starting with January for a winter, and this one is the spring event, the theme is card suits. So the first one was a diamond shape. This is a club shape. Yeah, so we're gonna review this game, which is probably gonna be a lot of fun. So the players have to adapt to this strange structure on the board of a bunch of stones there. So, okay, so you did the trick thing, right? The one
Yeah,
space low pincer trick. Yeah.
yeah, I did the trick, and it's interesting because he told me when I did it, he said, "Oh, I just watched Ben's video on this. Let's see if I can remember it."
And unfortunately, not this time.
No, and then I messaged him to say, "You forgot the driving sequence."
Yeah, that's a good one to consciously think about and remember that. So sending black this way, that way when we switch directions to cut through here, our stone is touching this other black stone, which then allows us to sort of wrap around it like this. Yeah, which is our good results. Although black is okay, but white is a bit better. Yeah. Now the tricky thing, which doesn't really matter too much anyway in this result here, but it's sort of maybe a challenge to wonder like how does the result change for each side when you consider this thing.
Yeah, and I had no idea, but I figured since I had a chance to play that joseki, I was going to do it.
Yeah. Well, we can see at least that black will have a bit more ease building a moyo around here, and white maybe
Yeah.
like here, and then this one is somewhat split. Uh, Black has maybe a bit more advantage with the two stones where they are compared to the white two stones here, just a little bit. But then white is the one with the stone over here. So it's yeah, it turned out to be even according to AI with these two very questionable moves right in the middle here. Okay, so yeah. Oh, by the way, yeah, so you can actually still come out here.
Oh, okay.
Like white didn't really seal you off, although of course white does have this connection down here. But
Yeah, I,
yeah.
I kind of remembered that one time when I did this, uh, you had said something about not bothering to try to save that one stone that was on the outside, and I wasn't sure if I could save it, and I figured I'd just let it go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it depends on the scenario. So the reason it kind of popped into my mind here is because all of this is black. So if you run
Hmm.
that way, then this one would be kind of, trapped in here.
Yeah,
With the exception that, like I said, white can actually still connect under here. So what it might turn into then is you go out and sort of force white to spend this move, basically. But yeah, it's not super necessary. Now, if white wants to capture you more cleanly, they just need to play something like this. Okay, so you decided to help out these two center stones with this extension, and then take the other
yeah.
side.
The two black stones looked lonely.
Mm-hmm, that's fair. It still has good value. Um, okay, then approaching here. Actually, if I were you, I would have. Well, this one has the benefit, of course, of making it so these stones are even stronger and the gap here matters less.
Hmm.
I would have been a bit interested in trying to build this wide side here. It's not really
Yeah,
like a correction per se, but just maybe if it's me, I would have approached from this side.
right.
Oh, white played the high one. Yeah, I also for white, I would definitely play the low move here because when white plays here, I think black's approach is very nice and
Yeah.
very annoying. So if white ignores, Black can even, you can use this one. You can also use this one. This one is like, if they connect, obviously you're okay. You can also go in further if you really want. So if they push, you just connect like that. I'll ask actually before we go forward, this shape, how sort of clear is it to you that that is connected?
Ah, um, I, I'm not positive, but it does look pretty good.
Yeah, so in case it isn't, then that's a good one to just etch into your mind, sort of thing, like to remember
Yeah,
that.
so if white plays f18, I simply cut it
Yep, they play here, then block, and then there's a
underneath.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now it is a
Oh,
little yeah.
yeah. Okay, so then basically, yeah, it's the thing where I can Atari, uh, and he can't connect.
Yeah, exactly. Because as soon as they touch you like this with the kick, they only have 3 liberties and now 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So connect and then you can just fix this side. Now there are ways to eventually exploit it a little bit, which is like it's thin, which means let's say white has a stone here later, then there can be this kind of move which connects back with like A or B or C.
Uh-huh.
But it's not the end of the world for black. I mean, you could see it coming and prevent it with like bump or like this or anything, or just don't mind and do, you know, I mean, obviously if, you know, obviously after this, white kind of needs to get the corner for now.
Right, right.
But basically, so there is this kind of miai of like A and B basically. So
Yeah.
if you cut, they can pull back and you basically have to connect again. So you can lose some territory from that, but I wouldn't say that's anything to worry about for the moment. You can cross that bridge when you get to it with even just bumping or something. Bumping means like now if they go here, you just capture it.
Right.
But it's worth being aware. Like if you're gonna play this kind of shape in your games, then just be aware that it gets a bit affected by white being nearby.
Right.
Now, this move is actually pretty powerful in a way. I'll pose you a question here. Oh, this is another one actually. You might feel inclined to play this because it looks more connected,
It does.
but there is some benefit to solid connect, which is actually still fully connected.
Right.
It's actually just as connected as this one is in a way, with the exception being the pro of this is that if, like I showed before with a stone around here, white actually cannot do anything because you just cut and white just runs
Right.
out of liberties. So you are like fully connected in that way where there's like no Tesujis under you. And this one, there still is the thing that I showed, which is like if you don't bump here, then there can be this one.
Yeah.
Now, do you see anything interesting black can do? Or at least like what kind of ideas might come to mind?
Clamp.
Yeah. Good. Exactly. And if they could Atari us here.
Then the clamp isn't good.
Exactly. So in this case, I would go with the solid connect. Whoops. Yeah, because I think that clamp is very, very powerful here. The reason the clamp works here, I do have a video on YouTube that's kind of perfect for this kind of thing. Maybe it's called like second line ninja tactics, something like that.
Okay.
Anyway, basically if they cut you, it looks like this, right? And
Yeah.
where do you think black should play next?
Probably B17.
Yeah, in this case, either of these can work. This one
Yeah.
can work because if they cut you off, then you just cut.
Right. Right.
And if they play here or any kind of wedge, then still you can connect back. In this case, they can
Right.
throw in to get a little bit here. But you still gained because you got inside. And it's not actually 2 eyes because let's say white was fully surrounded. You could actually connect this. And then...
Oh, and then A18.
Yeah, that's one of the cool things where you you know, sacrifice the whole thing.
Right.
And that even means that white's eye here is a gote one eye.
Mm-hmm.
So even in this scenario, it almost looks possible for white to die here. But I would say it's a bit premature because white has a lot of wiggle room. But yeah. But that's so another thing you could do is what you did, right? The peep. In fact, in this case, I think it's better. Yeah. In the context of the video, which was looking at, so you know this, like we have this subway invasion, but we also have this one.
Yeah.
Which is like P2 is more popular now, but with this one, so there's this move, and there's a good reason why black usually connects. It's because usually with this one, they'll live to regret it, like especially in a high level game, which is if white has any stones around here, then this time your peep is not going to work as well because you can't really go back.
Right. Yeah.
So if you play here, though, you have a perfect miai of A and B.
Right. That's nice.
The downside is, like I kind of showed with the other one, that there can be this throw in to capture a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So going back to, though, where is it? What we were looking at.
We were in the upper left.
Yeah, I have to find the branch. It's like somewhere. Okay, it's somewhere over here. Okay, the OGS is kind of behaving weird because the branch doesn't exist. Oh, it does exist. Okay.
There it is.
There it is. I should enlarge this tree. So yeah, in this case, your peep would be better because you're able to both go back and not lose any stones.
Right, right.
I mean, it still depends because white can wedge and instead of connecting, make a ko. Now, do you remember the tip I gave you for kos?
Oh, to pretend it's already filled.
Yeah, exactly. So if you can recognize this as being a ko shape, then you know that you just pretend it's already filled instead of filling it.
Right.
Therefore, you go here. Now black's entire corner is in jeopardy.
Oh.
So if you win the ko, it's going to look like this if you're white. That's going to be great, right?
Right.
And even though like black winning the ko obviously is, obviously it's not great for white. But in the first place, white already lost the whole corner anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not that different. So that's a really, like when you start getting used to, you know, especially using that, remembering that fact, that rule of pretending it's filled. Yeah. Ko will be very, you know, ko is going to be your friend, right? Once you kind of spot them and also start doing them. And so ko might be a legit reason for black to choose this one. But yeah, the clamp is really good that you saw that. So that actually is why this one can be much worse. Yeah, because it gives the Atari. It's a little bit like that's why I always talk about how studying joseki in the right way can teach you so much generalizable Go stuff. Like if we're talking about, let's say, double approach. Well, we kind of have to clear. Let me just quickly clear these because they're way too close and they become very relevant. Okay, there's a quick thing to finish off that idea is right. So let's have white double approaching where black ignored. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. So yeah, you know this too, right? It's common to attach when you're double approached.
Right.
And then one thing white could do, there's a few options, right? Attach here, 3-3. But one classic one is to push in. And do you know this, or do you know of a next move here for white? Double approach, I guess, doesn't happen so often in your games, right?
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
But I don't know what white should play next. But I mean, I would probably foolishly play Q18 defensively. But there's got to be something better than that for white.
Oh, okay. Okay. So it's kind of offensive too because you're taking black space away.
That is true.
Yeah. So there is one move. There's a few things white could do. White could play here, which is also looking at this push. Push and cut. And then black has a classic move. I mean, these days, anyway, we play here, but there's a classic move here. And then white plays this Hane because, I mean, this is a better way to connect than this, right? Because they can still go in.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this one does also fix this cut, right? White cannot cut this. But white can do this, and if black blocks, then we can Atari and then cut.
Right.
Right? Don't even worry about the stone. So black tries to prevent that by countering with this move. That's going to make essentially a bamboo here. So this will never get, this will never be cuttable again. And something really interesting here I just wanted to show is that if white connects and black blocks the corner, there is a clamp here too.
Oh, nice.
And of course you imagine that they say no, right?
Yeah.
But now there's a peep here that has Atari as a cut.
Right, and then I connect underneath.
Exactly. And because you have Atari as a cut, they really have to play that. They cannot possibly resist this. Yeah. Now, imagine that we play the typical shape thing, which is to go ahead and Atari here, right? Or even connect and then Atari, right?
Yeah.
So Atari is threatening not only like capturing, but even push and then capture to cut everything.
Right.
So anyway, black wants to respond to this. And it's really common when we see a situation like this, we want to Atari, right? Because the black stone looks like it's in a worse position than our new stone.
Mm-hmm.
But the interesting thing with that, and that's one of the awesome things about studying joseki in general, I think, is that this clamp, after black resists and then white peeps, notice that the cut's not going to be Atari.
Right.
Because we already made black connect here with this move.
Yeah.
So the Liberty is actually united with this whole thing, right?
Right.
And so there's actually a super Tsuji here to kill white stones in the corner without losing these two. What do you think? It's very cool.
It's either S17 or S18, but it's probably S17 because you don't want white to connect.
Yeah, S17 makes sense at first, but if white calmly blocks it, now we have a little bit of a dilemma.
Yeah, we do.
So this is the one.
Okay.
And the reason this one works, so obviously if they cut, you just capture them first.
Yes.
If they go here, obviously you just cut this too.
Right.
So they have to go down. And then what do you think black's next move is going to be?
S16.
Yeah, because now, thanks to our 2/2 stone, still cutting leads to them dying first.
Atari.
Yeah. That's pretty cool move, right?
Yep.
And the reason why this is possible is only because white played that Atari. So the joseki here is for white to make sure they omit that.
Right.
And yeah, a lot of like strong Q players who know this double approach stuff, or even like around one dan sometimes, they make the mistake of Atarying here. But the clamp is a really important resource to steal away all of black space and points. And so because that thing exists, after white, let's say, jumps or extends or something, it's common for black to Hane a single time here and then play away. And that's a cool, clever thing too, because you see that in the joseki. And I think one of the keys, I was telling Holonomi about this in our lesson earlier, which was like, because he was asking advice for studying joseki the right way. And it's all about being curious about different things. Like you see an exchange like this, maybe in a pro game as like a post joseki follow-up or whatever. And you ask like, why? Like, why are we Haneing once and then playing away somewhere? But it's related to what we just talked about. So white made sure not to Atari here. Therefore, there's a clamp. But after this exchange, if this happens and then this, and there's Atari at A, so black has to prevent that. Notice that now when white connects under, you see where this is going? What can black do?
See. Oh, if black plays S17 and white takes, black can play S18, like that joseki in the corner that we know and love.
The double Hane one, yeah.
Yeah.
So you know, why did this exchange cause that to be possible? Because if it wasn't for that exchange, and then black just plays away, and then white does this, white actually just, there's cutting points, but they don't really do anything. So
Right.
like cut here, okay, white connects that, and then what? Like, right? So
Right. It doesn't go anywhere.
like this kind of does something, but that always did something. Yeah, so that's a cool little thing. And so not only does black often exchange this, white often also ignores this too, because they don't want black fixing this in Sente. So you often see white also ignoring and doing like some other move, depending on the shape. But it's a lot of cool stuff to learn and realize why these things are happening. Okay, so that's a mini class essentially on clamps, right? So let's get back to this game. Yeah, so I definitely think the high one is inappropriate here, because white definitely has no good potential around here with all these black stones loitering here.
Yeah.
So this is when playing low is more appropriate, and security is more appropriate. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so you went for the subway invasion. Oh, I recommend pushing once.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. If you
That makes
just
sense.
go here, your life and death is a little more fragile.
Right. Yeah. I never thought about pushing.
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
People hardly ever play 017. They almost always block at Q18.
Right.
And I'd say maybe 20% of the time they might do that. Most of the time they block.
Right. Let's say you have this situation. Where do you think black should play next?
Let's see. Well, maybe because I've got those stones, maybe
Mm-hmm.
I could play 015.
So you play 015, but then what if white kind of comes in and starts stealing some territory here?
Oh. Well,
So your stones are vulnerable, but I would suggest here H17.
okay.
Reason is you have these helpers. So if they, let's say, pincer you, you can just play, let's say, something like this, and where's white going?
Yes.
So that's the way to use these, is like you get the fighting advantage, and you want to use them to make a wider potential. Like a move like this, which is actually very, very annoying for white. Like white probably is going to play something defensive there. Like if white plays, let's say here, now you have time to add whatever you want to add here. So you get both basically.
Yeah.
If white pincers, like I said, you can just lock white inside. Even if white survives, you at least would get Sente probably, and then you can follow up here. But white also might die. Like it's a bit dangerous here. So there's a very big difference between going here and like we really don't want to just follow the joseki, like kind of move for move in this situation, because then we're not making any use of this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
I can't say that I ever really made a lot of use of the stones that were on the board in the first place.
Yeah, we don't have to go too far out of our way to make use of them, because that, that can be a problem too if we go too far out of our way. But it's a little bit of a shame to, like, if we did play just like the normal thing and then white, yeah, then the value of these just ends up very close to zero soon. Okay, so yeah, white blocked. Okay.
Now, here's something really interesting. After he tanukied this situation, I tanukied it too, and we didn't get back to it for a while. And AI wanted me to play S15, and AI wanted him to play R16.
That's right.
And Nothing else on the board was all that important.
Yep, that's how it goes with the AI. Yeah. Well, playing here is Sente for white.
Right.
And if you get to play first, your corner gets bigger and safer, and also white can develop some cutting points.
Yeah.
So this is an important one to go ahead and take for white. In fact,
Yeah.
if white were a bit stronger on the outside, white could even consider this one, which is attacking your actual life and death.
Right.
Like this is a killable shape if we're only looking at the black stones.
Right.
Yeah. And I think you know this shape.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. It's the one that it's the problem we always look at, but with one step already done, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a bit unusual here. I think your jumping up is good.
I wanted to split him, and besides, I only had 3 stones there. They aren't connected to anything else yet. So I figured I'd be able to make some eyes along the top.
Yeah, so I think this one definitely seems like he's trying he's either trying to threaten your group, and maybe Jim thinks you wouldn't get much up here, or perhaps worried about this cut.
That might have been.
A ladder breaker. Although white could play here and then there would just be a net here.
Right.
So this would be a Sente on the corner and it would eliminate the cut. So so basically white wants to play more like this, I would say, and just get the points. I think
Yeah.
white would be happy for black to just go home like to the left like this.
Right.
Yeah, basically not getting points. So letting black in here is a very big gamble, because as we keep returning our gaze to this stone, it starts to just look low value. By the way, we've talked sometimes about the kick weaknesses, right? So
Yes.
white, of course, got rid of one of them in the 3-3 by playing this.
Yes.
There is still one here.
Oh, yeah. I didn't think about that.
That would be pretty nasty. Like that, it would bother him a lot. So that would be worth playing if you see it.
Yeah.
If white tries to do this, you can push and, well, there's a lot of options here, actually. I guess cut this side, maybe. Even pushing in. Yeah, if you push in and then white blocks, now this is Atari for you.
Right.
Or you can even Hane again, and then, you know, if they connect, you can start living in the corner. Yeah, so they have to go here, then you can cut, and then I guess at this point you just do basic things to capture the top. Basic liberty fight, basically. Or, yeah, I guess this one's probably the safest. If you play here, white can make an eye, I guess. Which could still be a ko for us, which is nice, but anyway, this one would win the liberty fight more simply, so we play here. I guess black could even block without Atari too, because if white breaks out, it's like self-Atari. Like black basically always has this one. They don't want to play it because it's going to threaten their own 3 stones, right? Which is the stones over here.
Yeah.
But we do always have access to this if we ever need it for this fight. Anyway, so basically, yeah, it's very, very dangerous for white to try to play here. They usually have to connect, and then you can play here. They try to block, but you can Atari. Something you could consider, this is okay. You could also consider attaching on top.
Right.
This would be a little more smooth because your stones are going to be very connected. But this was pretty much fine. I think white's attach here is kind of a bluff, by the way. Or at least it's a bluff or a misread, right? If you just cut...
Yeah. Then I can Atari him.
Yeah, you can Atari here if you want, but basically you have a net.
Right.
You could do this, but then it gives white this Atari.
Yeah, so I'd be better off to play N7.
Yeah, I would suggest that one. That way, white has more trouble getting the middle. For me, I might not Atari here because I kind of want this Atari.
Yeah.
This Atari, if we Atari here, then white can clamp. And then we cannot really resist. But if we don't Atari here for now and just leave it first and just go here, then if white tries to clamp, we have Atari.
Yeah.
And then go down. So that's something I would be thinking about. So I think the difference on the edge is going to matter more than this little bit here for now. So
Right. I believe he managed to get things his way on the edge there. I never got to play O2. I don't think.
this bump
Now,
for white
this was,
is...
it was good that I got in there.
Yeah. I was almost going to say that this area seems small, that maybe you're following white a lot, but I think this is okay, actually. As long as you stop soon, basically.
I think it may have won me the game, actually, because I did get quite far in there.
Hard to say. I mean, at the same time, like the meaning of like reviewing the moves, right? It's like what should have happened, right? So
Yeah.
let's say that you got farther than you should get in or something, but what if you're playing like stronger player or whatever?
Well, he is a stronger player. I got the equivalent of 2 stones of negative Komi.
well, it's kind of like how do I say? Imagine you play like this to attack black's life and death, which is not good because black just gets bigger over here, right?
Right.
But then imagine they respawn and then you just start like somehow killing them.
Right. Oh,
So,
yeah.
so that doesn't mean that your move was good though, right?
Right.
I just wanted to make that, get on the same page there.
Right.
But yeah, no, so my instinct when I see this stuff happening here, when there's a lot of edge stuff still not played, then I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's small. But then I changed my mind and I'm thinking, okay, as long as black and white don't continue here for too much longer, then it's fine.
Yeah. We came back to it later.
This white move though is a bit, it seems like a mistake. I don't see what it's really doing. It feels very like they're bumping on their head on your stone and then you just pop out like this. It seems really good for black.
Yeah. I think maybe he thought that I would respond to protect my single stone and then he would get to close it off.
And that's good on you to not save the stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's definitely very good for black. Like this stone is too little to spend 2 moves. It's actually not even spending 2 moves. It's spending 2 moves plus giving black this poke out. So it's definitely not worth it. So the black gained a lot there. Like, let's say that we ask AI, let's say about, I don't like to do this very often, but let's ask AI about the point swing, which is not going to be super big just because we're not dealing with that many points around here. But so white plays here. Yeah, white actually lost. So it's 19.4 for black right now, meaning you're way ahead.
Yeah.
And then when white plays here, it's a swing of like 8, more than 8 points.
Okay.
Actually, better that we get this played out first, and then we'll get a proper answer from AI. Maybe 8 points, it should be different. So let's do this, and then let's do the same stuff. So right now it's black plus 18.3, and then, yeah, it still loses a lot. Okay, so now it's black plus 25.1. So it's about 7 points that white loses from this. Yeah. Okay, let's turn that off. Oh, okay, so white's attacking your whole group, yeah. One thing to consider here is because you have a lot of stones around here and this space here is still exposed. For example, they can make you connect and then they can peep, right?
Oh, yeah, I didn't think of that.
So in general, it's good to look for indirect connecting, like moves like this.
Right.
If you play here, you're also making space,
Right. Yeah.
but it's also like fixing all these cuts.
Right.
I'll just click share on that one actually, because maybe there's other things earlier in the game that is even more worth remembering. But if you ever come back to this board, like it would be good that you see the variation in the chat.
Yeah.
Actually, we did a fair bit of talking about that a few lessons ago, didn't we? Which was like you find the solution to connect or live or make an eye or whatever, but then you don't stop there and you look for like how to do it in the most profitable way, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember a certain game that we talked about that a lot. I guess it was you were trying to, yeah, you were surviving with a dragon in the middle in that other game, and you're just like making eyes in different ways, but then yeah, there were ways to do it even like kind of in style, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. So you made this. Yeah, this was a very big move. This isn't even like a big move anyways.
Right.
So he played it. Okay, this one's also annoying. Yeah. This one, oh, it is kind of Sente on White's connection. Okay, sure. I was going to say this one feels a bit small. Unless you felt like you need the extra space, one space.
Well, the thing is, I guess I want to make sure that he doesn't reduce me too much to get my 2 eyes. Although I should probably realize I've got enough space.
Well, if you want more space, there's ways to get like a lot more space instead of one space.
Oh, I can play B10, and
Yeah.
that sure helps.
Yeah, these moves both get a lot more points than this one.
That's true, right?
And so I take it that when you were playing this, you weren't really thinking about like threatening to kill this.
No, I really wasn't. It was more of a defensive move than
Right.
an offensive move.
Right, right. So the way to think in that case then is like if white plays here, it's really only a 1 point difference for you.
That's true.
One eye space, right? So
Yep.
these other moves just get a lot more than one eye space.
Yeah, they do.
So that's okay. Anyway, so white did that. This one would be a little better over there, but yeah, okay. So you're just trying to make sure you're alive. That's understandable here. That is understandable. That Hane Connect was very big because there
Yes.
was, yeah.
Right, right. And I was actually trying to figure out when the best time would be to play. I was actually going to play H18 and then play G19 rather than to play G18.
Right. For white, the Hane is fine. Descend or Hane. For black, the descend might make them. Well, it depends. If you Hane connect, like let's say you didn't see this.
Yeah, which I didn't.
This one still leaves some weird stuff in here. Like this is a peep, and then you could have like this, and you can have like some push and cut thing happening. So there's still, it still feels a bit dicey for white. Because white still has to even like worry about this. Okay, anyway, so kick weakness. Yeah, maybe I'll leave some variations to highlight that. So there's that one. I'll just go back a bit. I'll go ahead and leave this as well. And the push. Something like that. This one. And interesting, he's probably gonna see this, or he might open it.
Oh,
So.
absolutely he will, because you're going to post it to the server, so he'll see it. So
Yeah.
you can make comments for him.
He might not open the board, but I'll share those just in case anyway. Right. Yeah, so I'll put this here. let's see. So on the same topic of like living in style, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
Living in sente is another thing, obviously. So not besides I have like you know when you have like a sneeze coming, but then it there we go. Yeah. You know, the last couple times that happened during a lesson or a stream, it was just coming and I couldn't say anything, and then it never came. Awkward.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have like these moves, which we talked about already, but what you could consider is, especially if like you didn't see this or whatever. I mean, you do have this move. And with
Yeah.
that being there, that means that you have Miai of like connecting or living somehow here.
True.
So that would give you time then to just find a big move, like invading this, for example, if it's possible. Maybe it's not possible. This is worth checking, of course, right? Like to see, like, oh, can white, like, can I invade or am I dead? Because if you had, I think if you had any more black stones around here, you could definitely do that.
Yeah, I think I looked at it and decided that the best I could do was just push
Right.
in.
Yeah. And then like this one's quite big.
Right.
You could even combo in this way where you sort of force the top first and then you still play here.
Right.
If you play here first, then maybe you can't get as many forcing moves on this side.
Right.
But anyway, either or would have been good enough, but this move's actually very big. It's even bigger than usual this time, I think, because for white, instead of O2, they have P2. So I would be wanting to have Sente to, like, other than this, I would be wanting to have Sente to pretty much play on the bottom side. Yeah.
Yeah.
So another idea is, like, let's say you thought this wedge messes you up, which it kind of becomes self-destructive for white, actually. They're going to get destroyed. Yeah, all kinds of terrible things will happen to white, even like something like this. So so there's all that to think about, but even just peeping too, like if you decided this was bad, then you have this peep. If they respond, then you definitely have a connection with one more move.
Right.
And so the key would be to not actually play it, but to play away.
Right.
And then, yeah, if they take it away from you somehow, then you just do that.
Right.
And that's a lot of eye space that you have. You have like 5 eyes.
Yes, on the left, I'm very much alive. And I think the stones on the top won't have trouble living.
Right. That's a good one. Yeah, you could even fit this move in first and then.
Yeah, I think that would be good. Yeah, because if white gets to Atari at H14 and I answer it, then white can play J 14. So then that's a ladder, right?
Yeah. So not the end of the world, but I mean, in this case, I guess why not play this? Yeah. Yeah. So that's just that one thing in general, that one thinking pattern of like seeing a solution but looking for better solutions. That's by in the course of the game, doing that like even like 50 times or even like 20 times, even like 10 or 20 times, rather than like mostly not doing it that much, is like gonna be a huge point difference. That'll easily rack up to like 30, 40, 50 points change, depending on how much better the alternatives you find, of course. But it would make a very big difference. So that's something that I would say is very much worth even putting a focus on for a bit. Like the next games you play, just play your usual. You don't have to burden yourself with too much new ideas or whatever. But just even if you have to like remind yourself with like some note in front of you, or I always say that, right? But it's like the thing about like putting yourself on a timer to play slower. And I guess those things go hand in hand, right? Playing slower, looking for superior moves.
Right. Yes. If I'm playing slower, maybe I'll notice them.
Yeah. So if you're playing a bit slower and you've already found your move that does the job you want, which is like, relief, right? Then
Yeah.
you can use that leeway that you have to like look for something even better. That's very, very descriptive of, I guess, like Dan level play, and like maybe 1Q 2Q kind of play is like indirectly like indirect fixes and indirect everything, like trying to just make a version of the fix or whatever it is that is more, related to points. So if we have a move that's like connecting with Dame, we don't want to play that, right? So
Right.
you do everything in your power, not only to not play that, but even to see if you can live in Sente. Yeah, a whole move makes such a big difference. Like just this O2, that's definitely
Right.
more than a 6-point move.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like double Sente as well in a way. So it's really, it's a huge, it's like 12 plus in difference in a way. All right, now we're into the end game. Oh, white got here first. Yeah, I guess. I mean, would you say in the game too that, would you say that this amount of eye space is comfy, or would you say you felt like you need more?
Um, I was feeling okay about that group.
Okay,
Um,
so it's mostly about points in this case.
yeah.
Okay, then I guess it was a little bit of tunnel vision here.
Right.
So you needed to
Okay.
look
So I
around.
should have played O2. O2 would have been better. Yeah.
Yeah,
I shouldn't have cared if he got to play um, A11.
yeah, exactly. So here or even this one, but
Right.
it's not the end of the world.
Right.
Even if you let him do it in Sante, it's a few points, but this is also in Sante. It's much bigger.
Right.
And like you said, this kind of move.
Right.
So imagine, so white has Sente. So white does this, white Atari. Well, I would suggest white to Atari, and then it depends. If saving this one stone is actually the biggest thing on the board, then it's the biggest thing. But when it isn't the biggest thing, what people can do here is to Atari like this to make you do all that filling
Yeah.
and then play away, because that's already a benefit. And
Right.
it can be clearly seen by the fact that when black comes back to take this one stone and occupy the O2 spot, of course it's a Gote move now. And white has Sente again, right? But if none of that happened and then black plays here, black's O2 is a Sente move, which finishes in Sente. So it's a huge difference. It's a whole turn of difference, right?
Yeah.
So by making you back off like this and fill yourself up all that, which that's actually additional benefit too, because not only did they turn your O2 into a Gote move when it was a Sente move before, but they've already more than canceled out losing that stone since they made you fill up 2 of your points.
Right.
Yeah, so it's a very good tactic here. And it's actually a legitimate question now whether anything else is even as big as this though. But I mean, this one looks pretty big too. Yeah. And I guess even a move like A6 is B6 is starting to become not that small. Oh, by the way, I noticed something. Okay. Trouble Master time.
Okay.
Um,
I'm in that area.
yes.
Okay. Well, um, actually,
There are how many? There are at least 3 Trouble Masters here.
oh, could S 10 be one of them?
S10. That would be one yeah, very good starting point of thinking. Absolutely.
Yeah.
There might even be like 4 in a way, but I need to also think about 1 or 2 of them a little bit longer. Dun, 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 dun. And then that. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, well, what would you say are, let's say we're talking about Black's offense right now. So what do you think are your resources in a way, which is like any like Ataris or Senteis or big weaknesses of your opponent? Because once you know a few of like what we're calling, whatever we can call them, anything, your resources or your weak points to look at or whatever, once you know what those are, you just have to figure out how do you string those together to make something happen.
Well, there's an Atari at Q15, but I don't see how that does any good. Oh, well, maybe it does because, okay, if I play Q15 and he answers it and I pull out, then I still have 2 liberties. But wait a second, he can Atari me right then and there. So that doesn't do anything.
But it does give you this, right?
Oh, it does give me that. Okay, that's true.
Or even
Yeah,
if you needed a stone here, this technically is a fancy similar thing because if they block, then you can cut.
right.
I mean, this is probably not what you want, but that's technically also threatening A in a kind of a cute way. Yeah. So okay, this is a resource, and they need to take this to not die with the whole top, right?
Right.
And so part of this trouble master, as we're calling it, is a lot of reading. But I'll just show you one because you did point out this.
Yeah.
But this does require potentially like the reading to pull it off in a way, right? But even if you couldn't figure it out, I think it's progress just even noticing it and thinking about it, right?
Right.
Maybe you would read it like this. Well, okay, you might. I don't know. You could tell me. You might read it first a bit wishfully, like this.
Yeah, that's the way I would read it wishfully.
Yeah, that's normal. We just have
Uh-huh.
to. We just have to train. Like the training is to increasingly give our opponent the better move sooner.
Yeah. So
So
then white has to pull out.
yeah, and then here they have to keep pulling out.
Right.
And in fact, here, because of this kind of stone setup, they kind of have to do it again.
Right.
And so they can play like this. And you might notice that after this, you're not really connecting, right? Like you're not really saving your stones because white can cut.
Right.
But what if we had a black stone here?
Yeah.
Da, 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 da. That's an absolute disaster for white.
So then I can connect.
Yeah, you are now connected actually.
Yeah.
This is, it's a jump plus an extra stone, right? The extra stone here. So so that means this is not cuttable. It's a bit like trying to cut a bamboo, right? If they cut, then the yeah. It's different if it was like without that stone, right?
Yeah.
But this is essentially a bamboo, and then if they actually peeped here, then you would need to make the bamboo, or in this case, probably here.
Right.
In this case, I think taking white's liberty away is relevant, right? Because then there can be that. So right now, so in this particular case, bamboo is not actually as good as the straight one.
Right.
Because the liberties of these two stones is relevant. But yeah, ordinarily we would play here. I mean, it depends. When you get late in the game, sometimes there's no value for bamboo because in this case, like all these white stones are in the way anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So in this case, because push here could become a co-threat or something for white. So it's actually a lot better anyway to play the straight line. Just for the no co-threats, basically. Anyway, so that's cool, right? That's one. So it's basically stringing this weakness together with this weakness.
Yeah.
And that would pretty much, if the game is even remotely close, that would probably win you the game. Now white even has to make sure this thing lives, which is like probably living in Gote. And then you get to just do another thing now. Okay. The other Trouble Master things, one of them has to do with the fact that you could take here.
Right.
Except just taking might be a bit boring. Yeah, so it has to do with that. Do you have any ideas?
Well, maybe throwing in a stone at T12.
So you need to make sure that you have a follow-up after they connect,
Yeah, I guess I don't. So that's no good.
but something similar, like maybe here.
Okay.
The idea with this one, we might have to do a bit of setup still, but the idea is if they block like this, you can do this and then cut with ko,
Right.
which is like you know you can save all, you can reduce all this territory as long as you win this ko. Or it depends. If this one and then you push and then you can make something happen with this Atari, which I'll just tell you now. Boom, this is gonna work now, again.
Okay.
Because well, actually, like this, and then I mean, okay, technically they can cut us and kill this, but that would be the general idea. Actually, they cannot kill us. My bad. So you can go here, which is Sente on this,
Right.
and
Of
then you
course.
can make 2 eyes.
Right.
So that would also be pretty cool. And white would be almost dead here. One more Trouble Master I was mainly seeing here. Well, if white was more solid around here, then what do you think could be the Trouble Master for this area?
Atari at P16.
Oops.
Oh, yeah. Now the thing is, though, that doesn't seem to be working because if I pull out, I've got 3 liberties and white has 3 liberties.
Well, what did we
No.
do last time with the Atari?
Well, I guess you can sacrifice it.
Yeah.
Maybe in play N16.
Yeah, and just get these.
Right.
Mini Trouble Master.
Yeah.
So if you just do that without Atari, if in this game white thought these stones are big, then white could play like this and then give up 1 stone like that.
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, maybe these stones are not big enough, but you know, that's a math question. Anyway, yeah, so that's one thing. Now, there's one more thing actually, which is your corner is not exactly perfect.
Okay. So, do I need a stone at S18?
Well, imagine you're white. Like if you're white and if you could like even if you're not sure, right? It would be worth trying stuff cuz you wouldn't lose anything.
Right.
And for ease of, I don't think it matters, but I'm just going to connect this. Yeah, so
there's only 2 places I can think of to go, R18 and S18.
and which one do you think is more promising?
Well, maybe R18
Okay, and
because
then
white has a descent to O19 later.
so how do
Let's see.
you
So black, I suppose, has to play S18.
Yes. And then the question is what's next?
For white, hmm,
It's tough.
could it be S19?
So S19 and maybe black cuts.
Oh.
Yeah, you can Atari here.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's gonna be 2 eyes.
Right. Okay.
So this one has a bit more promise. The reason is because your shape in here. I mean, black has to play this one, right?
Right. Of course.
That's the other middle. Yeah. This one has can sort of pretend like it's gonna build an eye,
Right.
right? By playing, for example, here.
Okay. Then, of course, uh, if white gets to play R19, I I'm in trouble. So I guess I have to play R19.
And what happens if let's see, if white makes an eye?
Then I have to make one too at E19. And uh, I think it's over. It's Seki.
Seki, yes.
It's over. Yeah, I don't need to add another stone.
So Seki, well, Seki's not good for you, right?
Oh, I realize that.
Yeah, yeah. So
But it's better than dying.
yeah, and yeah, I mean, I guess this is white's best move. There's this one, and if black blocks it, then black, well, black is also Seki if they manage, if they make sure to throw in.
Right.
That would be like if you're ever in a situation like this, right? And you think maybe you're dead because you cannot Atari them.
Right.
You better use your clock time and you know, think on it. Even moves that seem unnatural, but there's only 3 options, right? So
Yeah.
this would
There's
be
only 3
important.
options. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and obviously S17 is wrong.
yes.
So
Yeah. Exactly.
so so there's really only 2 options.
That's right. In fact, even this one would work too.
Hmm.
We just have to reduce one of white's inside liberties so they cannot Atari us without self Atari.
Right.
So it would be
Right.
at least we would get Sente and then we would do another thing. Yeah, so there's other variations in there, but also your opponent is highly likely to make a mistake. I mean, depending on level, obviously. But most of the mid to weaker SDK levels and of course the DDK levels have a pretty high likelihood of maybe even dying here with black.
Yeah.
And even or just Seki, or even if you failed as white, you might not lose points because like as it stands, if white plays here, maybe black's gonna do this,
Right.
and then it'll end up as 7 points. If we throw in and they play like what's going on with this move actually? That okay, so white has to go down, and then black does this. So this one succeeds for black, except that if white Ataris now and black connects, that's going to be Seki again.
Right.
So like T18 is clever, I think, for black because that's where white played to get an eye. But yeah, so if white plays here, black cannot block because then there's Atari.
Right.
So black ignores for this eye move, which is nice because it, you know, makes these two as 2 eyes. But then in response to this, white has to play here if they want points, and then it's gonna be like this and this. But you can see now that instead of 7 points, let me just check something. Yeah, instead of 7 points, they got only 6. Or you might say, or 5.5, you might say, because white captured in a ko here.
Mm-hmm.
So 5.5 versus 7. So the best case, like the worst case scenario for you is probably that you reduce them by 1.5 points, which is just great, right?
Yeah.
So basically, like if you're white, there's probably still a lot of games that go by where I guess if you don't think that black has any danger here, then you don't try something, right? But if you're losing, I would encourage you to, you know, make black panic.
Yeah, I think that I would probably jump in that situation,
Okay,
knowing
that's good.
knowing that if he matches me move for move, I'm no worse off. So I
Good.
may as well try.
And that then would be my advice for him because I believe it was, let me just check something.
Well,
Which,
he resigned, I think, before the corner got played, or maybe I threw a stone in. But just click through for a
yeah,
while
so
and
black's
you'll
ahead.
see. Yeah, you'll see how it ends.
Yeah, so black's ahead, so he could have tried something there.
Right.
So that would have been a good idea. Mm.
Yeah, I decided to play it safe.
No, that's the right move. Yeah, I mean, that looks like the right move to me.
Yeah. So yeah, it did happen.
Okay. So I guess though what you could do instead of this is to start here.
Right.
This one is like still, I mean, this one gives him the 7-point corner, right? But this one gave him the less than 7-point corner. So going in would be a bit better. Not only that, but like I showed, in the best case scenario, he seems to get less points than this one gives him. But also, if he does any mistakes, he might die or become Seki. Or you might die or be. Oh, okay. Sorry, he's white. He played here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, got it.
I wasn't going to correct you on that. We all know what you mean.
Yeah. So, that would have been pretty like panicky, right?
Yeah, it would have been, which is why I played the move.
Yeah, this is perfect. This one, S18.
Because I actually was looking at it and thinking that I wanted to keep my eye on it.
Nice. That is good. So, a well done win. So, very quick summary of how that came about. So, White's move here was a bit questionable and didn't do this, but both of you made a little bit of mistake around here.
Right. Yeah,
And,
we ignored it for too long.
And the lack of push there as well. So both sides. Your mistake was doing this one too quick.
Right.
And White's mistake was ignoring this for too long. And potentially like caring too much about this cut if that's what this move was about. It's a ladder breaker. Because it's a pretty big blow to White's points to let black in like this unless black's dying.
Yeah.
So that was like a lot of points not taken by White there. They could have, Jim could have played here to probably make you run home. Or like maybe you could try something else, but your group is in great danger. That would have actually made a very, very big difference to the score. If you imagine how this ended up versus all of this being White.
Yeah.
He did good. He did well though to secure the corner there, and then take this big place. And then yeah, so here, like I said, you could just call his bluff here. This one is like you lose more because now he has this.
Yeah, I didn't even see the possibility of doing that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, if you didn't consider very long to cut, then I guess that's playing too fast.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Then we talked about this stuff. So the other big events of the game. So White ended up keeping all this, which shouldn't be actually because it was 2 kick shapes. So that's very nice for White.
Yep.
And White got the big end game here too. So White did get a lot of big stuff. Although this, oh, I didn't even notice this. This is very surprising actually. I would have to highlight this because this is a 2-point end game way too early.
Right, when O2 is there.
Yeah, these are like enormously bigger than that late end game stuff. So, I mean, I get it that, you know, the idea was to prepare the poke at B10, B11, but even if black just responds somehow, black's the one who gained more from that because White could have jumped in.
Right.
So White gets like, it's not actually 2 points because none of this here is points for black right now. So this move is normally 2 points if it's between 2 territories, but actually this time White gains 1 point, but actually helps you build your points. So it's actually only like 1 point move at it's actually a negative point move. So yeah, but both of you had a little bit of tunnel vision around here.
Yeah, I think so.
But overall, I think it was a pretty well played game by both. Yeah, not many in the way of like moves that are super small or hard to understand.
It was close. It was only 13.5 for me when he resigned it. But I guess he knew the score.
Yeah, so White did get a lot of big things, but still you had too much. So closing out, I just want to know, why did you have too much? Okay, this We talked about that. I mean, I guess getting this was pretty big, but probably the biggest thing must have been this move. I'm not.
Yeah,
Am I missing a bigger contributor?
I don't know.
Like because white got a lot of stuff here, but we're looking for where white didn't get stuff, right? So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of like small things that add up, right? Which easily adds up to 10 points. So we would be
Maybe it's just a teeny tiny little bitty for a bunch of moves.
exactly, yeah. But if we wanted to point out one thing, I would say it was right here, because
Yeah.
the
So,
sheer difference there is like
K,
so big.
yeah, K16.
Yep.
Yeah, that was big.
Like this, and then K16. Then black's not necessarily bad, but this would be very different from the game.
Right.
All right, cool.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Good game. Hope you guys had fun with the this thing.
Yeah, it was my only hero mode of the month. It was fun.
Nice. And yeah, hopefully Jim can get something out of this as well.
Yeah, I'm sure he will.
All right, have a good night then.
Thank you. See you next time.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.